Hey everyone, Duplex here again, another Android Netrunner video. This time I'm going to go over some of the basics of downloading and installing and getting ready to play Android Netrunner on OCTGN. This tutorial will also apply to any other games that you might be interested, but I'm going to focus specifically on Android Netrunner as that's the game I play. So, octgon.net is the website that you can go to download the program for free. You'll see here that there's a download link at the top. Go ahead and just click that and download the live current stable version. It should be a fairly quick download. While you're here, you'll probably also want to register an account. Very straightforward, and it's free. You can choose to subscribe if you would like to get rid of some of the annoying please subscribe messages and gain some of the subscription benefits, but it's not necessary just to play the game. So once downloaded, the OCTGN setup is very quick. You can see my antivirus is complaining about it. Clearly it's not a virus, so I allowed the install. And once it's installed, you should end up with an icon on your desktop or somewhere. I've pinned it to my taskbar. Launching it, you won't see necessarily all of this. I already have game definitions installed, but you'll see the sign-in/register page as soon as you launch OCTGN for the very first time. This is where you put in the information that you used to sign up with on octgon.net. So once you're signed in, you will have access to the general chat room, the OCTGN general chat room, and a couple of options here which I'll go over quickly. The custom games tab is where you will eventually go once you have games installed to actually join or launch your own games. The Games Manager tab is where we're going to focus for the next little while. It's where you actually install games and manage the games that you have installed. So when you first launch, you won't have this games feed here. You'll just have the local and the OCTGN official. If you click Add Game Feed, and then you grab the feed URL, which I'll place in the description of the video, in the YouTube description. You grab the feed URL and flip back, and you can name it whatever you want. I obviously named mine Games. I'll just add it again by way of demonstration. And then paste the URL in, click Add. You can see they're the same because it's obviously the same game feed. It gives you a list of all the games that this feed will offer you. Everything from Android Netrunner, as well as the original Netrunner, Star Wars LCG, Vampire the Eternal Struggle, L5R, 7C, tons and tons of games. Magic the Gathering. Go ahead and install Android Netrunner, as well as whatever else you're intending to play eventually. Game installations take very little time. The only warning I would give is that the more games that you have installed, the longer OCTGN will take to start up at the beginning, because it will check for game updates for every game that you do have installed. So once that's installed, you are actually pretty much ready to play. You can go directly at this point, if you want, if you're impatient, go directly into custom games and find an Android Netrunner game and double click to join it, or you click Start, give the game name whatever name you want, choose a game from the list of installed games that you have installed, click Start, and wait. When somebody joins, then you can go ahead and launch. I'll get to that shortly. Typically though, before you get right into games, you're going to want to add the image packs. The game feed, as we saw under the Games Manager, installs the basic card information with what is effectively generated card proxies. They won't look like the cards you're used to playing with physically. they will just have blank space for art and the text and costs and whatnot rendered onto the card. So what you're going to want to do is use this Add Image Packs button here. It'll allow you to take files that have been specially prepared and install them and replace all of those generated cards with actual scans of the actual physical cards. So another link that I'll place in the description of the video is a link to my Dropbox, which has the card files for both Netrunner and Star Wars LCGs. So if you click into my Netrunner folder, and I believe they're under, yeah, you have these three sets. You go ahead and download them from Dropbox, save them to somewhere convenient. I believe that'll end up in my downloads directory. Then flip back, go to Add Image Packs, find the image pack when it's finished downloading, click on its name and click Open. Do that for all of the image pack files, and your cards will then be proper scanned images rather than the poor excuse for proxies that the game engine automatically generates. So you can see the file finished downloading. I can click that, click Open. It'll say installing your image pack. Done. And that's all it takes. You do that for the other two and you're done. And anytime a new set comes out, you will need to find card scans either online or make your own. And that's a whole nother tutorial video on how to turn your individual card scan files into an O8C file that is readable by OCTGN. Perhaps I'll do that when Creation and Control comes out. So you can double check that your card scans installed properly by going into the deck builder and click New Android Netrunner deck, and then just scroll down to whatever and click on it. You'll see, yeah, they're all there. If you go New Star Wars deck, I believe I have the card scans installed here, but if you go to New, I think, for example, this Vampire, I don't have the card scans installed, so you can see it's just blank, and it's difficult to play when you're used to referencing the card art for specific cards to know what they are, and instead of having to kind of mouse over and read every single card that's in your hand, it can be very, very difficult. And especially if you're doing something like looking at your entire deck and trying to fish out a card through a tutor, it'll take you a lot longer without the card art properly installed. It's unbelievable how much more difficult a magnum opus is, for example, to find if you are looking for it in a pile of cards than when it has the art. So that's how you can confirm that your set is properly installed. So now you are literally ready to play. And click over, and I'm going to click Start. I'm going to call it private so nobody can join. I'll give it a password because I don't really want anybody else to join. I'm just going to start a game as an example. So this is the pre-game lobby. A couple things you need to know about this lobby. Clearly you need more than one person in here before you can start playing. Just leave this two-sided table clicked. I don't know what the alternative is, so I've never tried unclicking it. I wouldn't recommend it. The other important thing to note is you can change your position, and only the person who started the game, I believe, can change this. And you have to kind of remember that A is Corp and B is Runner. So if you start a game and you want to be a runner, you'll automatically show up as Corp. Click it and it'll turn to B. You can then run. Whenever somebody else joins the game, they will show up as B automatically, so you'll need to click them and change it to A for them to be corp, or vice versa. You can leave yourself as A and they'll end up B, and you can just click start. If there's anybody else, sometimes you'll see more than one other person join. So there's 3 or 4 people in the room. Ask them to leave before you start, because I believe that if they leave the game once you start it, the game itself will end. I've never had it happen, but generally speaking, it's a bad idea to start the game with more than one other player, so more than 2 players in it. So just ask any other person to leave in the chat area here, and ask the person whether they're ready to start, and go. I don't know if I can even start the game. I think I can, without anybody else in it. So once the game starts, you'll be given your actual game screen. Chat area down here. Here's your hand. Your opponent will have a tab that's next to yours here. The first thing to note is you'll need to load a deck. So you can use the deck builder that comes with Octagon. However, I do not recommend it. It is absolutely awful. So just click over to whatever fancy deck building site that you prefer. I know lots of people like cardgamedb.com. I actually am a big fan of Netrunner, the Meteor Decks Netrunner site. It has a tendency to be a bit flaky. Sometimes the database goes down, so it's not the absolute best, but I just like the very stark and simple format that they use. And you can just export as an Octagon deck here. It's the same sort of thing, I think, in CardGameDB. Once you have a deck built, you can just export the Octagon deck. And once it's exported as a 08D file, you head over back to your game and click Load Deck. You can see there's some basic decks that I think come with Octagon, but in my downloads I have tons and tons of decks. Click Open. Your deck will load, and you'll be in this sort of pre-setup stage. Then your opponent will likely do the same. I recommend waiting for your opponent to the notice here that your opponent has also loaded a deck before you set up, because as soon as you hit the setup key combo, it will place your identity out on the board. And I've had it where on Octagon before, where in a couple of cases where it seemed like the person waited till I set up before they did their load, and I just became a little suspicious that they may have been loading a deck based on what opponent ID they were facing. So to be fair, I would say just wait till your opponent loads a deck. Once both decks are loaded, you can either go up to game. No, sorry, it's under Game and Setup, or Control Shift S. A tip will come up when you're new to Octagon. I recommend reading through some of these. One at a time is fine. And obviously, I think it's just broken because there's no other opponent in. But when the setup occurs, this will fly out here, and you'll get a handful of cards that populate. And then your opponent will do the same. Their identity will show up. You can choose whether or not you want a mulligan by right-clicking and having a mulligan show up. You can obviously in Netrunner you can only mulligan once, but it does not enforce that. I believe it'll allow you to mulligan as many times as you'd like. So just be careful of both your mulligans as well as making sure your opponent doesn't take too many. And then you're ready to play, and that I will cover in a more detailed play-by-play tutorial video, which I will post next. But for now, that will get you up and running and ready to start at Octagon. If you have any questions specifically, anything that you felt like I missed or passed over too quickly, please don't hesitate to ask. Comments are always welcome. And if you are hoping to play other games on Octagon other than Netrunner. The whole process is pretty much identical except for where you get the files and whatnot. And so other than that, good luck installing, and I hope to see you on Octagon. Drop me a message. I am known as David Prophet on Octagon. I would love to play a game against you. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and we'll see you again soon.